All right, so welcome to the podcast, man. So as y'all know, on my last podcast, we was talking about how you can have a hobby, turn your hobby into a job, and your job finally turn into the business that you always wanted. So there's always steps to go into that process. Some people go straight into a business and go from there, but some people start their business as a hobby because they currently got other things going on. They got to take care of life, so they got to still have another income coming in. And sometimes that hobby is just for doing for fun. You're not really taking it serious until you see how far you really get. You got your skill in, and then all of a sudden you want to move it to a job, right? You always have to be at the job in order for you to get paid. And then after that, you want to go into a business where the business is actually paying you without you having to be there, right? So that's what we covered that in the last episode. So if you haven't tuned in, make sure you subscribe a lot to my YouTube channel through Kevio Lens. And this is where it all happened at. So yeah, so let's jump right into it, man. Let's jump right into it. Going into it, man, today we're just discussing about this question here, and it is why most people chase money instead of building value. Why do most people chase money instead of building value? Man, that's pretty deep, ain't it? That's pretty deep. I mean, you gotta really think about why do people chase money instead of actually building value? I believe because money is their value, right? Money's their value. So when people chasing money instead of building value, that's their value, right? And a lot of times it could depreciate, right? So your value depreciate, which is your money. What value do you have now, right? And ask yourself this question, right? If the money stopped, then what value are you building if the money stops? We have to build something more than just value. I mean, we have to build something more than just money, right? We also got to build the value. And what is your value? What do you value more than money, right? So my value is building a legacy for my family. Something I could pass down to my kids, something my kids could pass down to their kids, generational wealth, something stronger than money, something that if the money stop, you know what I'm saying, it keep going. My other value is helping people, right? My value is helping people, right? Making sure people are successful in what they're doing, teaching others how to be successful, teaching others how they could teach their people how to be successful and pass the word down and keep passing it. So that's my value. My value is, well, number one, my value is God. That's my first value is God. My second is family. And third is to pass my teaching down to other people so they can teach their people. So those things I value that money cannot buy, right? I don't chase the money. I used to chase the money and it didn't get me nowhere. And I wonder why it didn't get me nowhere because I was chasing the money. I kept running in circles and circles and circles and circles. I was almost like a fish in a fish tank, right? You ever notice a fish in a fish tank where the fish ain't got nowhere else to go? It's in this small little fish tank and it's just every day it's going the same route. It's just going in circles. There's no escape. There's no other option to go anywhere. You're just going in circles. And that's how it was when I was chasing money. Yeah, I was just going in circles. I wasn't actually expanding my growth. I wasn't expanding me. I wasn't expanding nothing. I was just chasing and chasing and chasing. And it really got to a point where I got tired of chasing. And that was the thing about it, man. You just get tired of chasing because you don't always want to chase, man. It's a hectic ride. It is a long fucking ride to chase all day, right? We want to look at things in another route, man. Like, what other value are you bringing to yourself? What value are you bringing to others? That's one of the questions is what other value are you bringing to others to keep their bloodline pushing, right? To have them keep coming back to you. What value are you what value are you presenting to these people? That's what we want to know. That's what we want to, figure out and put in place. So let me kind of rewind back my story and where I'm at, right? Like I said, my business started from my hobby and moved from my hobby to a job to a business. So I bought my first house, all brick, 360 round brick, brand new, built from the ground I'm very blessed to have this. God really showed out in my life to get this and represent, and I represent for him. But with this brand new home, love it, nice, good size house, my first house, right? And I bought my first house when I was 32, 32 years old. And to be honest with you, I never thought I would buy my first house at 32. I didn't know when I was gonna buy my first house, but I damn knew sure it wasn't gonna be at no 32. But it happened. It happened, right? And and it started off with a hobby. Started off with a hobby, and it ended up eventually going to a business. So, but when I started my business, at the time it was my hobby. When I started it, I went into it like a business, but it wasn't paying me like a business, and I wasn't really honestly working it like a business. I was working hard, but during that time, on my first episode, if y'all watched, on my other last episode, if y'all watched it, on the last episode, I was discussing about buckets, right? And the first two buckets to actually fill up is your knowledge bucket and your skill bucket. So when I'm starting this business, honestly, I didn't have the knowledge or the skill, so I had to actually gain as much knowledge as I could, and also with that knowledge, I had to learn and fell a lot off the skill, which considered a lot of practice. So when I was doing this knowledge and skill practice, right, it was a lot of lessons I had to learn on the way to where I'm at now, which I am still learning. So that first bucket never gets filled. You constantly pouring into that first bucket. Your knowledge is constantly getting poured into, right? But when you pour a lot of knowledge into it, it's going to eventually spill over and go into the skill bucket. Now, going into that area there, my business, which was my hobby, which is photography, I'm going to say my photography, and I was just doing it just because I was just doing it. I actually talked to God about it. I prayed on it. And when I prayed on it, I was trying to find direction and where I wanted to go. And I asked God for direction, and God told me to get a camera. So I went to go get a camera. I had no other option. I didn't know anything else to do. God said get a camera. I went to go buy the camera. I had no experience behind the camera, no nothing. I didn't even know how to even take a good picture with the camera, to be honest with you. So never talked about it. I never talked to anyone about me being a photographer either. Yeah, I just went and got it because God told me to do it. I went to go do it. So when I got the camera in 2020, we bought our first house in 2022. So 2022 when we bought our first house. I got the camera in 2020. So basically 2 years later. Going into these 2 years of me going through photography and learning, I was still working a full-time job. But during this time, COVID then came in 2020, all this stuff was going on. I was doing pretty good in my job. I was really number one in my company as a salesperson in my job, and I was doing pretty well with this company. I won't say I was number one in the country. I was like top 100 in the country, but I was holding the top spot in Dallas though, for sure. I had it on lock, for 3 consecutive years. And with this company, no one told me about 401k. No one told me anything about that. Nobody told me about 401k. So I knew about it a little bit because it is my first real job that I was able to actually build a 401k with. I never had 401k built at another job before because I wasn't there long enough. I was there for like 6 months and I went to another job. So that's how I was. I moved around a lot with different jobs. Man, I didn't keep jobs for long at all, honestly, man. It was 6 months I was out. And in this job, I was there for 6 years, right? So when I'm building my 401k, I'm talking to my brother, man. I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, bro, we talking about 401ks and stuff. He knew he was very, very well off with 401ks. So he told me about a 401k and he was just like, hey, bro, we just talking about how much you have in there. So I told him the amount I had in, and it wasn't none at all. Like literally, I had probably about like maybe $5,000 in my 401k doing almost 6 years of the company with 5,000. It's like my fifth year going into my 6th year. So I was like, man, like this is crazy, right? Matter of fact, I tell you, it was like my 4th year. My 4th year with the company, I had about like $5,000 in my 401k. I'm making about 80,000 a year. I'm very transparent, right? I'm making about 80,000 a year, and I got about like $5,000 in my 401k. And he said I should have had way more than that. I should have contributed way more than that. He asked me how much I'm contributing. I said I don't know. I think I'm contributing by like 8%. And he was like, man, like you should have way more than that. So I started looking into it. When I looked into it, I saw I was only contributing 5%. It was 3 or 5%. It was very low, 3 or 5%. I think it was 3% to be honest with you. And I was like, man, but this is the key. I had my photography business. Well, 'cause at the time it was a hobby, treated like a business. I end up using at the time I'm booking business with Kevio. You know, I'm pushing it out there, getting it out there. People starting to know the name, know who we are, what we do. And I got real good. I got real good with my knowledge and skill in photography, right? I got really good with my knowledge and skill in photography. So when that happened, I was able to um build out my prices, right? Because my knowledge came, my skill was there off of practice. I was able to build in my prices now. So I was able to actually charge people what I want them, what I wanted to charge off of my skill, right? And my skill got really good. I put some time and work into that skill. So I'll work the full-time job, come home, do pictures, photography, had shoots, video shoots, doing music video. I was doing it all, right? And I was like editing it all night. I get done by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I gotta be at work by 6 o'clock that morning. So I'm getting about 2 hours of sleep continuously. This was happening every day. I was doing this, right? For years. And cause I was really obsessed with my skills, trying to get better and better. And I only could use the time I had to get better at what I wanted to do. So I put all my focus in onto that, man, when I was doing my job. And when that happened, I noticed that I was like, I'm able to contribute because my company was matching on 401k. I was able to contribute more money in my 401k, right? Which that took away from my job check, my work check. It took away from my work check where I couldn't, they was taking it from the front end. So what I thought was, let me replace that front end money and replace that for my photography money, right? So I'm never missing my money. I just gotta work on my photography, which is going pretty good. Let me replace my front end money with photography, because now my front end money from my job is on my back end money. That's my back end money, which is my 401k, right? So as I just switched the roles onto that, I use my job, I use my hobby to replace my job income from the front end to now my job income is working on the back end, and my hobby's paying for my front end money that was missing from my front end money from my job. So when I thought in that process, I'm like, whoa, okay. So I started to contribute 15%. I put 15% in a contribution into my 401k. Within 6 months, I done grew $3,000 to $5,000 that was in my 401k originally to $30,000 in 6 months, right? And I was looking at the stock market, see how what the stocks was performing with the company. So I was like, oh, this is a good time. The stocks are performing well on what the company's using. So I was able to actually take advantage of that into my 401k. You gotta keep an eye on that. So when I did that, I was able to build enough money off my 401k to buy my house, right? And when I bought my crib, I was able to still have money left over. So I didn't buy a house and went broke. I bought a house and made more money. And then my house became an investment, which grew over $100,000 worth of equity, right? So like, nobody taught me this. I didn't read no book. I didn't talk to nobody. None of that. I was talking to God about it, and God was just guiding my way through on what I need to do. And honestly, that's how I was able to buy my first house. That house that we wanted at 32 years old. Now, you can't tell me nobody can tell you not what to do. You gonna tell yourself not what to do. And I'm gonna tell you this right here. You believe in God, you talk to him, man, he gonna provide for you and give you direction on where you need to go. And that's exactly what I did to get where I'm at. And I praise him every day for that. But going into it, it really showed on how much my hobby eventually turned into my job, and now my job turned into a business. I took those steps into that. And in the meantime, I'm actually doing corporate photography. I'm doing corporate headshots, corporate events. I'm making more money than I'm making at my job on a monthly base. So I was able to contribute all this in one. But then also too, my hobby, which has turned into my job, that eventually now is my business, that actually bought my house. It helped buy my house for where we at now, which we made a home. You know what I'm saying? But it's really thinking smart, and this is the thing, and like, a lot of people won't have that type of knowledge and stuff on them, but it was amazing on how that actually happened and what it did for me. So that's why I say chasing money is not the value. You want to chase the value and not chase the money, because the value on what you're doing for whatever you consider to do or your business is, you're able to still continue to push in that value. Because when the money stops, how are you still building, and how are you still feeding yourself if the money stop? Happiness don't come from the money. Money just help pay stuff off and help things roll a little smoother. But happiness got to come from more than just that, right? That's really how it all started right there, man. It's from there, But like I said, when I started my business, I started off. I never got an LLC. I got a DBA. I was being cheap, man. I did a DBA. I registered my own name. I did everything myself. I didn't go through these other sites that people be using and stuff to get their stuff traded. Get their stuff marked, Legal Zoom and all that. I didn't go through stuff like that, Legal Zoom. I did everything on my own. Cause you know why? Cause I didn't have the money to be paying all these fees and doing all this stuff. I literally had to use what I had to get what I could get. And the strongest legal team that I have is Jesus Christ. He and others on that squad, them angels, are my legal team, right? And then it goes from there. You know what I'm saying? And there's more. Like, man, when I started my company, like I said, I did everything on my own. So my very first logo, which was crazy, my first logo that I had with Kevin Yo Creation. You know what I'm saying? Keeping visions optimistic. My first logo, I'm at my day job, right? I'm at my day job, and I get an email. I'm in the van, you know what I'm saying? I get an email. I check my email, and I was a customer checking me out on my email. So then I look at it, I saw, oh, hold on. Royce didn't hit me up. Man, I thought a boy really made it, man. I was so geeked. I was so hyped, man. I got him. I was bouncing up and down in that truck, man, going crazy. Like, I was like, hold on, Royce hit me up, man. Mama, we made it. Mama, we made it. We here. We made it. Man, look. The boy did it in 1 year. 1 year. You know what I'm saying? I was at the point where I was up here with it. I was up here with it, man. But I'm telling you, man, when I saw Rolls Royce, I was like, oh yeah, we in there. We in there. They gonna send me a Rolls Royce. They gonna send me a whip. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go do some work. I'm gonna fly out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get stuff done. That's how I was thinking. You know what I'm saying? So let me open up this email before I get too hyped and I start calling people. I call my mom before I start doing any of that, right? Call my wife before I did any of that. I was like, I'm about to call her ASAP. Like, baby, we made it. You might as well quit your job right now. Go ahead and quit. You know what I'm saying? We about to head up out of there. But that wasn't it. What it was that when I opened up that email, man, I started reading all these documents, and they was talking about suing me. They was talking about suing me, bro. Royce, you know what I'm saying, was talking about suing me. And I'm like, bro, like, for what? I'm not even making money like that. I didn't even do nothing. How did I stop suing me? I had my websites. I had everything. I had my clothing brand site. I had all that, hats, socks, jackets. Man, I had it all, man. Like, literally, it was literally going down. Man, I set this stuff up perfectly. Perfectly. I had it all set up. But then when I look at it, I'm like, bro, these fools are talking about suing me. Like, I gotta get rid of my logo. Now remember, my logo, it was like Rolls Royce logo with the double R, but I had two K's for Kevio Creation. It was two K's. It was two different letters, right? But because it was looking like the same similar format as Rolls Royce, that's what got me. I don't know how they found me, but that's what got me. And next thing you know, I get a letter sent to the house, and it came with a tracker. The letter came with a tracker, a 95-page documents, 95 pages. I still got them. Still got them. I'm going to show y'all, but I still got a 95-page document from Rolls Royce. Got my logo on it right next to Rolls Royce logo. It had other people that was kind of like similar to Rolls Royce, and they got sued and all this other stuff. I had to call and talk to the lawyer for Rolls Royce, and hell, I ended up getting my own lawyer, man. I called my buddy up, man, and I ended up getting I get my own lawyer involved. Yep, my legal team, Jesus Christ. But I had to get some answers right now on what I needed to do, right? I needed some answers now. So I actually called my lawyer on earth, you know what I'm saying, here. I called my lawyer and I was talking to her and I was just like, hey, what should I do? Matter of fact, I actually I tell you, I don't want to get into that part, but talked to the lawyer. The lawyer said, Kevin, unless you got tens and thousands of dollars to fight with them in court, I would just get rid of the logo and just start over. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, and she was pissed. She was pissed that they came at me the way they did, but it was nothing I could really do because I didn't have no tens of thousands of dollars to fight against Rolls Royce, which I know they've been around for a long time, and everybody, driving, you know what I'm saying? They up there. So not saying I ain't gonna be there though, but I just wasn't there yet. So I was just like, man, bro, like, you serious? So, I called the lawyer. I talked to Royce lawyer as I'm talking to him, it was so funny because I said, I told the lawyer, I said, man, what about Dreams Chasers? They got DC. It looked just like Rolls Royce. And he was like, I ain't talking to Meek Mill, I'm talking to you, is what he said. And I was like, whoa, okay. Okay. All right. That's where we at. All right, cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? I was like, all right. He was like, all right, I need you to get rid of that logo ASAP. I'm saying, look. But when they sent that 95-page document, that 95-page document had everything on my stuff. My website, my hats, they had it encircled in red. I had my wife on the website with the hats on. They had her circled up, had other people in there. They had them circled up. You know what I'm saying? So shout out, hey, Rolls Royce seen y'all. This FYI. They seen y'all. They know who y'all is, you know what I'm saying? So hey, if you need to get a car, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, they had everything in there that was circled up in red. And I was like, man, bro. So he was like, yeah, create a new logo, send it over to us, let us review it. And if we approve it, then we able to, get rid of the case. And so I had to go in the office, man. Like I said, I didn't give my money out to somebody else to do my logo. I did my logo myself. And honestly, I'm glad the way it happened. I'm happy the way it happened because it made me put more thought into my logo than I did on my first one. And it really meant something really truly to me. And I could truly explain my logo from in and out on what everything means. And I literally took a lot of time to put this together. I'm not even a drawer. I don't draw. I'm not a good drawer. But I'm telling you, when I did this, I don't know how I did it, but I figured it out and I did it, right? And when I was able to do it, as you can tell, my logo here, and it's on my jacket too in the back, and also right here as well. But on my logo here, you can see KVO Creation. By how I got it, I got the KVO, and with the KVO, it's going into the O. So the V goes into the O, and it locks in. Doing the creation, and when I did the creation part, that's what it really means, man, is elevating into your future. So it made me really be very unique on my logo and just how I wanted to do it. But I had to go through that bullshit with Rolls Royce to do that, man. But it was crazy, man. But hey, did I ever send in that logo, the new revised logo, to Rolls Royce? Fuck no. Fuck no. I did not send that logo in the Rolls Royce. Fuck them. Had me go through that bullshit. I just said, man, get the fuck out of here, man. I do this shit myself. I ain't sending shit in. You know what I'm saying? So I did everything on my own, man. So when I did it, it's considered roll with the punches. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I said is like, going into that, I learned a lot of steps on how to get your stuff legalized. Look for databases, look for your trademarks, look for all that. You ain't got to pay people for that. You ain't got to pay people. You could do it yourself. Yeah, it take a little time, but you got time. If you ain't got money, you got time. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of time if you ain't got no money. So you got time to figure it out. Quit rushing it. Figure your shit out so you're able to make the right move on what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem, man. We be rushing through shit, and when we rush through this shit, it's just hard to. You're gonna hit a lot of bumps on the road, man. You know what I'm saying? But if you take your time and you figure it out, you can save a lot of money, and you can figure a lot of stuff out and see a clear picture. That's what it's all about, man. It's about seeing the clear picture in your stuff. You feel me? So it's like, but when I did that, bro, it was crazy, man, for me to go through that, man. Just knowing that I had Royce on me, bro. I had a big name looking at me, and I was a small fish. You know what I'm saying? I was a small fish at the time. I was just swimming in the water. I just jumped in the water. Just jumped in, man. They gonna pull something like that on me, man. I literally just got my fins wet, bro. I just got wet in the water, bro. I just jumped in the water, and the Rolls Royce, he gonna hit me up like, bro, I'm a little fish, man. What y'all doing worrying about me, man? I ain't gonna do nothing that's gonna jeopardize y'all company. But they did. Because they knew my potential. That's why. They knew where I was gonna be at. So they had to cut it off early. But guess what? That just made me stronger, though. That just built me up. That built me up on who I am. You know what I'm saying? And because I got built up to where I am, I was able to push forward and keep going. I didn't give up. I didn't sit back and cry in the back seat. I didn't call my wife or my girl at the time. You know what I'm saying? She was my girl at the time, but my wife now. You know what I'm saying? She was my wife then. I say my wife, but she's my wife. You know what I'm saying? I didn't call my wife crying on her shoulder. I didn't call her crying. I was like, man, pick your chest up, man. Pick your chin up. Stick your chest out, man, and handle this shit. Handle it. Do what you got to do. And that's exactly what I did. Man. You know what I'm saying? I walked in there like a big boy. You feel me? And I was just a small fish at the time. But that's what I'm saying. It's like when I was going through this, I was able to constantly keep pushing forward and keep going because, that just put more fire underneath my butt. When I know it's a big name like that reached out to me. I mean, yeah, it wasn't how I wanted to be reached out, but they reached out to me. Man, there it is. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, I still try to push Caviar Creation in the business. When I'm talking to the lawyer from Royce West. Hey, if you need any photographers to pull up, if you need any advancements to help with photography, I'm your guy. What's up, man? Yeah, we already got that, man. We'll work hard. Yeah, I understand. I'm a worker hard too. You know what I'm saying? But whenever that time come, you got my number. I ain't heard nothing yet. I don't need them though. You know what I'm saying? But this what I'm saying though, is that stuff like that is going to happen. You're going to keep pushing, going to keep going. You got to keep moving forward, and that was my story about me on how my stuff started and where I'm at now. So I was able to build my own brand. I was able to create my own brand how I wanted to create it. And I was also able to learn from it. Gain a lot of knowledge from it. And with this knowledge, I learned a lot of skills where I was able to actually now give out great prices on what I do. And let y'all know, I'm not cheap. My price ain't the same as yesterday's price. I'm not cheap. But we provide on what we do. We show up on what we do. But that came with skill. That came with time, practice. Over 10,000 hours of practice. Of putting shit together. Y'all weren't with me when I was shooting in the gym. They weren't with me when I was shooting in the gym. But they want to be with me when the lights turn on. But that's why my price is my price now, because I ain't cheap. I'm great at what I do. Not good. I'm great. at what I do, and I show and provide, man. That's what I do, man. So like that's where it's at, and that's how you want to go into it. But I had to get that over time. I didn't walk in that way. If you starting off as your business, if you starting off as a photographer, you starting off anything as a business, I could show you the confidence and ways and how to walk in that door and make them deals happen and make it work. And don't bow down for none of these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta keep pushing and keep going. It's what you gotta do. I'm telling you, man, my story's crazy, bro, on how this happened, man. I was like 1 year in and I got hit with that. And it was just wow. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I could say, man, how I moved with Kevio Creation and the job I was working with, I moved pretty smart, and it was able to buy our first house. You know what I'm saying? Where we could raise our family and stuff in. So it was definitely dope, you know, and the growth is still growing. But that's why I say, man, if you chasing money and not building value, you going down the wrong hole. And there ain't nowhere to go when you chasing money. It's gonna lead to a lot of disappointments. It's going to lead to a lot of misery. It's going to lead to a lot of running in circles. Whole lot of running in circles. And when you run in circles continuously, you're going to eventually get tired, right? So, and that's the thing that I had to learn. And stop chasing money, man, and start building value. And that's where it's all at. But until next time, Kevio Creation, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button through Kevio Lens on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Shot by Kevio.